My name is Sophia, and I come from a small, peaceful village in the Philippines. I was only 20 years old when I got married to a man named Marco. In the beginning, he was gentle and caring, and my parents truly believed he was a good choice for me. He lived in the United States, and after our simple wedding, the plan was for me to move there with him right away. I was so scared. I had never been far from my village, never sat on an airplane, and my English was very limited, just a few basic words. The night before I left, I cried so much I could hardly breathe. My mother was everything to me. She was the one who made my favorite foods like adobo and sinigang, who told funny stories to cheer me up when I was sad, who gave me the warmest hugs that made the world feel safe. I talked to her every single day. Leaving her felt like tearing a piece of my heart away. Before I went, she took off her simple gold necklace, the one she always wore, and placed it around my neck. She said softly, "Anak, wear this every day. Let it remind you that you are strong, that I am always with you." We held each other and cried together at the airport. I had never seen her cry like that before. It broke me. The flight to Chicago felt like it would never end. My stomach was in knots from fear and nerves, and I felt sick the whole way. Marco sat quietly beside me, mostly looking out the window. He didn't hold my hand or ask if I was okay. I already felt so alone even with him right there. When we finally landed, it was winter. The air was freezing cold and snow was falling everywhere. I had only ever seen snow in pictures or on TV. It looked beautiful like a fairy tale, but my heart was too heavy to enjoy it. I was sad, scared, and homesick. Marco's father picked us up from the airport. He was a tall, serious man who barely smiled or spoke. He just nodded hello and helped with the bags. His mother, he said, was at home preparing dinner. We drove to their house in a quiet suburb outside Chicago. The house was old, the lights were dim, and everything felt so quiet and cold. I carried my small suitcase inside. Only a few clothes, some family photos, and the necklace from my mother. I went to the small bedroom they gave me, sat on the edge of the bed, and just stared at the wall. I missed my home so much it hurt. The very next morning, Marco's mother called me to the kitchen. She handed me a piece of paper with a list of chores written in neat handwriting. Clean the floors, wash all the dishes, cook rice and vegetables, do the laundry, dust everything. "We like things tidy here," she said in a flat, cold voice. "Don't be lazy." I didn't understand every word, but I understood her tone. I felt like a maid, not a daughter-in-law. All day I worked. My back ached. My hands became dry and cracked from the cold water. Marco didn't help at all. He sat with his father in the living room, drinking coffee, watching television, laughing about things I didn't understand. Every day became the same. I woke up before sunrise, cleaned the house, cooked meals, washed clothes, and tried to stay invisible. I didn't know how to say no. I was afraid that if I spoke up, they would get angry. Marco's father had a very loud voice. One day I accidentally burned the rice a little, and he shouted so loudly that the whole house shook. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and cried for a long time. No one came to check on me. Weeks turned into months. I stopped laughing. I stopped smiling. I barely talked except when necessary. I missed my family desperately. My mother, my father, my little sisters. I wanted to call my mother every day, but Marco said international calls were too expensive. He allowed me only one call per month. Those calls became the most precious thing in my life. When I heard her voice, I would start crying right away. But I always lied. I told her, "I'm okay, Mama. Everything is fine here." I didn't want her to worry. Inside, though, nothing was fine. After about 3 months, I found out I was pregnant. part of me felt happy. A baby might bring love and change to this cold house. Maybe Marco would be kinder, maybe his parents would soften. But nothing changed. His mother looked at me and said, "Now you have to work even harder. A real woman doesn't stop just because she's carrying a child." I kept going, even when my body felt heavy, when mornings made me sick, when I felt dizzy. Marco never asked how I was feeling. If I looked tired, he just said, "Finish your work first, then rest." One afternoon, while I was mopping the kitchen floor, everything started spinning. My legs gave way and I sat down hard on the tiles, shaking. Tears rolled down my face. I put my hand on my belly and whispered to the tiny life inside me, "You are not alone, little one. Mama will protect you. I will be strong for both of us." That baby gave me my first real spark of hope. When our daughter was born, we named her Lila. She was so small and perfect, with soft dark hair and big curious eyes. The moment I held her, something powerful woke up inside me. I thought, this is my child. No matter what, I will keep her safe. But even after Lila came, life stayed hard. I did everything alone. Feeding her, changing her, rocking her when she cried at night. Marco's mother never offered to hold her. She said, "Babies are too noisy. Keep her quiet." His father rarely looked at her. Marco went back to work soon after, and I was left managing the house and the baby with almost no sleep. I still cried at night sometimes. I would hold my mother's gold necklace tight in my hand and whisper, "I miss you, Mama. Please watch over us." The first year with Lila was the toughest. I was always exhausted, always working, always feeling like I didn't matter. But Lila's little smiles kept me going. Every time she laughed, it felt like sunshine in the darkness. Slowly, I started to dream again. I wanted to learn English properly. I wanted to earn my own money. I wanted a safe place where no one could yell at us or make us feel small. One day, I found a community library nearby that offered free English classes for immigrants. I asked Marco if I could go. At first he said no. "You have too much to do at home." But I kept asking gently every day. Finally he agreed, but only 2 days a week. I was overjoyed. In those classes I met other women, some from Vietnam, some from Mexico, some from Africa. We were all strangers in this country, all trying to build better lives. The teacher was kind and patient. She said to me one day, "Sophia, you are very smart. Don't ever stop learning." Those words meant the world to me. No one had called me smart in so long. Little by little, my English got better. I practiced new words at home, even when no one listened. Then the teacher told me about a part-time job at a small cafe close by. I was nervous. I had never worked outside the home. I asked Marco again. He laughed and said, "You won't last long." But I went for the interview anyway. The owner, a warm woman named Elena, was understanding. She taught me how to greet customers, make coffee, prepare simple sandwiches. My English wasn't perfect, but I smiled a lot and tried hard. Customers were patient with me. I worked a few hours a day while Lila stayed with Marco or his mother. Every dollar I earned felt like freedom. I saved most of it and bought Lila a soft blanket and some little toys. For the first time, I felt proud of myself. Things got harder before they got better. One evening, Marco came home late, smelling of alcohol. He was angry about something small and started shouting. Lila woke up crying. I told him to lower his voice, and he pushed a chair hard. I was terrified. I grabbed Lila and locked us in the bedroom. I sat on the floor holding her, shaking. That night, I knew we were not safe anymore. The next day, I told his mother what happened. She looked at me coldly and said, "Maybe you said something to upset him. Learn to be quieter." My heart broke again. During a big argument about money later, his father turned to me and said, "If you don't like it here, you can go, but the girl stays with the family." Those words froze me. I whispered, "She's my daughter." He just stared. I walked away, terrified that someone could try to take Lila from me. That month, during my call to my mother, I finally told her the truth. I cried so hard I could barely speak. She cried too and said, "Come home, Anak. We will find a way to help you." But I couldn't leave yet. I had no money saved enough, no papers to take Lila out of the country without Marco's permission, no place to go. I felt trapped, but I refused to give up. I kept going to work. I kept learning English. I saved every penny I could. I joined a support group for immigrant women at a local community center. There, I met women with stories so similar to mine. We shared our pain and our hopes. A counselor there helped me understand my rights. She said, "No one can take your child from you. You deserve to feel safe." Those words gave me courage. 2 years after I first arrived in America, I finally felt ready. With help from the support group and legal aid, I found a small, affordable apartment for low-income mothers in a safe area near the cafe. One afternoon while Marco was at work, I quietly packed our things, Lila's favorite stuffed bear, my clothes, my mother's necklace, and left. His mother saw me go but said nothing except, "You'll be back. You can't survive alone." But deep inside I knew I wouldn't return. My new apartment was small, just one bedroom, a tiny kitchen, plain walls, but sunlight came through the window every morning. No shouting, no cold stares. I laid a blanket on the floor for Lila to play, and I sat there and cried. But these were different tears, tears of relief, of freedom. Life was still not easy. I worked, took care of Lila, paid bills, cooked, cleaned, all by myself. But now there was peace. No fear waiting for me at home. Then the hardest news came. A letter from home saying my mother had passed away. My world shattered again. I cried for days, holding the necklace, feeling guilty that I hadn't gone back to see her, that I hadn't called more. But I remembered her voice saying, "Be brave, my daughter." I held Lila close and whispered, "I'm sorry, Mama. I'm trying so hard. I will live bravely for you." After that, I promised to keep moving forward, for her, for Lila, for myself. Lila grew so fast. She started walking, saying little words, laughing all the time. She went to a small daycare a few hours a day while I worked. She made friends. I watched her and felt so proud. At the cafe, Elena gave me more hours and even taught me some basic management tasks. One day she said, "Sophia, you've come so far. One day you could run a place like this." I smiled, still not fully believing it, but feeling the possibility. Marco called a few times saying, "Come back. Lila needs her father." I answered calmly and firmly, "No, you had your chance. We are building a better life now. The pain from the past is still there." I cry sometimes when I remember the loneliness, the fear, my mother's voice. But now my tears are from healing, from love, from growth, not from being afraid. Every morning when I wake up and see Lila sleeping peacefully beside me, I smile. I make us breakfast, kiss her forehead, and start our day. This is our life now, simple, honest, peaceful, and completely ours. I'm not rich. I don't have a big house or fancy things, but I have freedom. I have a daughter who loves me. I have friends who support me. I have my own strength built step by step. And that is more than enough. If this story touched your heart, please like, Leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. Thank you for listening to my journey.